And I decided to put majority of my money in the business, saying, listen, I'm doing it for my personal satisfaction or gratification to be active and so on. And I put part of majority of my wife's money into investment. And I knew nothing at all about investments, and I put them in fixed deposits, certificate of deposits, and so on. And somewhere around 97, 98, we had a neighbor whose son was working in a company called Satyam Computers. So I said, yeah, this guy is working in Satyam Computers, let me invest some amount of money in Satyam Computers. And then I realized these stocks were going up virtually 5% every day. And I said, this is very good. And I decided, therefore, to put majority of my money into the so-called software stocks. And this particular point of time, these stocks were going up every day, and I was a very wealthy man. I was a genius, and I did not know anything wrong could go on. So, in the, let's say, Satyam or Infosys was listed in NASDAQ, and every day I would compare the prices of Infosys in India and compare its price to NASDAQ, and I'd find that Infosys was being quoting a 30 to 40% higher valuation in NASDAQ than in India. So I said, the Americans are smart guys, we are the stupid guys. If they are valuing it at 30% higher, then I have got it wrong. And I therefore had this money, and sure enough, let's say if I started with, 6 rupees, let's say, okay, 6 or 8 rupees, by 2000 March or April, they had become something like 11 times. And I was a genius. And then came the dot-com bust. And the stocks fell and fell and fell and fell. And at the end of it all, what was left was 25 or 30 rupees. So it started at 6 rupees, and I ended up by 27, 28 rupees, but I had still made money. So this particular investment group, where there's another very famous fund manager called Naren, he was also a member of it, and he was on the camp which felt that the software stocks were highly overvalued. He was also right, they were overvalued, but I hadn't done badly. I had also made my money 3 or 4 times in those 2.5 years, which was a mind-boggling CAGR. And then I said, I don't understand stock market, and I therefore decided to put back my money into, back into fixed deposits or debt funds and so on and so forth. But that interest in stock market was still there. And somewhere around 2003, 2004, I decided to go and buy a flat in Delhi from a company called Unitech. And I went to their offices. The offices were, most builders have very good offices. The project was nice, everything. So I decided to investigate a bit about the company. The company was available at a valuation of about 100 crores. And Citibank and some other 2 or 3 very major foreign fund managers owned 5% of the company. And I said, look, the office itself is worth 100 crores. I'm sure it's worth a lot more. And I decided to put some small sum of money, maybe 5 lakhs or 7 lakhs of rupees on that particular thing. And forgot all about it. Those days, I was not watching the portfolio on a daily basis and things like that. And therefore, in 2008, all of a sudden there was this big boom on the real estate stocks, and this 5 lakhs or 7 lakhs had become almost 25 crores. So therefore that was a great thing. I was also lucky in many other similar things which happened in this particular period. My wife used to bring a product called Fem home, which was a bleach, and I saw this and I said, listen, this is a company which is probably will be acquired by somebody, having sold my business. And sure enough, it got acquired by Dabur, and the money became 3-4 times. So I was perhaps lucky. I was also following what Peter Lynch calls seeing what sells. Similarly, there was another product called Neutralite, which my wife brought. I found out which company was making it, invested in it, became a 3-4 bagger. So the net result was I did particularly well from the period 2003 to 2008. And 2008, I built a case. I said, listen, everybody said Indian markets are highly overvalued. And I said, what are we talking about? Indian markets are not overvalued. Indian markets is only the beginning. A small company in America dealing with every product, niche companies are worth billions and billions of dollars. In India, we're still talking about these companies available for 100 crores or 50 crores or 70 crores or maybe 500 crores. India is going to be a country as big as America, and therefore this is going to be this. And how wrong I was. 2008, the so-called Lehman crisis happened, and stock markets fell all over the globe. The Indian small cap index from 2008, whatever time it did happen, I think it peaked around January 7th or 8th, and by March of 2009, the Indian small cap index had fallen by 90%. So if you had 100 rupees by March of 2009, despite everything that, you know, we talk about the big Indian story, we had, if you had invested just in the index itself, you would have lost 90%. I had lost 75% of my wealth. And fortunately for me, I managed my wife's money. She does not ever ask me, what is the portfolio worth? Where have you invested in it? And you know, our lifestyle has not changed whether we have the money or not. So therefore, that is okay. So nobody ever asks me whatever it is. But you know, we held on to the business. And in March of 2009, I said, listen, I think this is just too much. I have lost too much money. And I started selling it. And when Rajiv Khanna starts selling, the stock market starts going up. And therefore, I was quick enough again to get back to the market. And therefore, I didn't, you know, life has been very, very kind. So let's say if I started with 6 rupees, today it's worth about 2,000 rupees. So therefore, it's a mind-boggling CAGR. Do I have the capacity to do so? I don't think so. It was a bit of luck, a bit of everything, but that's how well I have done. So that's what I'm writing. People put me on some sort of a pedestal. People keep writing about my portfolio and so on and so forth. I was invited by Kotak. I normally don't give interviews at all on my stock market, this thing. But I was invited by Kotak, and since I requested them from charity and they'd given me the charity, I could not refuse them, and so I had to sing for my charity. So I went there and I said, listen, I thought I will call this talk of mine as the power of stupidity, because I was in certain cases far too stupid, not knowing when to sell a stock, and therefore it held on and it did well. There is some merit in what I'm trying to tell you. There's a very large fund house called Fidelity. And now Fidelity at one point of time decided to find out who the best investors were in their entire portfolio. And they listed out some 50 to 70 names, and they said, listen, let's go and meet them. What makes them great? And they went there and they found most of them were dead. So therefore this buy and hold does work. But on creation of wealth, there is something that you must hear, and this is the power of compounding. And this is the main thing in life, and I think power of compounding, Albert Einstein is rumored to have said that it's the 8th wonder of the world. And let me elaborate. It was around 1625 or 1630, the early Dutch settlers came to America and bought the Manhattan Island for a princely sum of trinkets which were worth about 24 US dollars. The entire Manhattan Island. The big thing in the stock market that is talked about is who got the better deal. They bought the Manhattan Island for $24, so therefore anyone will say, listen, you know, Manhattan Island is worth a lot more. But if you put in that 24 US dollars for the period of 390 years or whatever it is, at 10% interest, today you would be sitting on $150 quadrillion. And a quadrillion is something, a billion is something which is followed by 9 zeros. A quadrillion is something which is followed by 15 zeros. And with $150 quadrillion, you can today buy almost all the assets in the world. So therefore, this power of compounding is something which works amazingly well. And therefore, first thing that you need to do is, if you're planning to invest, start investing at a young age. It helps a lot. I started at the age of 51, 52. Please, all of you start investing and start investing now.